Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're unpacking a monumental topic, literally one of the absolute biggest paradigm shifts in the entire history of science. We're going to look directly at how humanity completely rewrote its understanding of life on Earth. We went from these incredibly ancient, rigid beliefs to the groundbreaking discoveries that entirely define modern biology as we know it today.
So, right off the bat, how did we discover that life on Earth has been changing for billions of years? It's a massive, massive question. And, for a really long time, the answer seemed completely settled. People thought they had it all figured out. But then, a few super observant individuals started actually looking closer at the world around them. And, well, they sparked the greatest scientific paradigm shift in human history. To truly appreciate the sheer scale of this shift, we first need to understand the old rules, the foundational beliefs that were about to get totally overturned.
Before the 19th century, conventional wisdom gave us what was called the theory of special creation. Now, this wasn't just some loose, casual idea. It was deeply ingrained and came with three very strict, very formal rules. First, it stated that every single plant and animal you see was created exactly as it appears right now, no changes. Second, biological diversity was considered totally static. That means no new species are ever created and none are ever lost. It's just a fixed set. And finally, the third rule, the Earth itself was believed to be only about 4,000 years old. So if you put that all together, it was a completely frozen, unyielding, and unchanging view of the world.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how that static, unchanging worldview hit a massive roadblock. Enter a man named Charles Darwin. He embarked on this incredible sea voyage around the world on a ship called the HMS Beagle. And what he observed on that journey? Well, it just completely shattered those old rules. As he studied all these distinct, isolated environments, he began to realize that our world wasn't a static, unmoving block at all. Instead, it was a place of gradual, constant evolution. As he was looking around, Darwin started noticing that living creatures shared striking similarities, and not just with each other. He saw that living animals shared features with fossilized life forms from millions of years ago. It was like putting together a giant puzzle. He realized something absolutely incredible. A lot of these ancient creatures simply didn't exist anymore. Extinctions had happened. The Earth had literally seen life forms come and go across different eras. He was connecting the dots between the living and the dead, proving that species aren't permanent fixtures, but they actually go through continuous, gradual evolution.
Okay, so how exactly does this engine of evolution actually work? Well, let's walk through the exact mechanics. It all starts with step one, built-in variation. In any population, no two creatures are exactly alike, right? There are always slight differences. Now imagine the environment changes. Suddenly, those tiny variations matter a lot. The individuals whose traits give them a slight edge, maybe they can handle a hotter climate better, or maybe they just find food faster, they are going to survive longer in those specific conditions. That's step two. And because they survive longer, they reach step three, higher reproductive fitness. Over time, nature is quite literally selecting these advantageous traits to carry on to the next generation. Which brings us to step four, natural selection.
So the crucial point is that we need to completely rethink the word fitness. When we say fitness here, we aren't talking about physical strength, hitting the gym or being the fastest runner in the pack. Not at all. According to Darwin, fitness ultimately means one thing and one thing only, reproductive fitness. The creatures that are best adapted to their environment simply leave behind more offspring because they survive, they reproduce. And leaving behind more progeny, that is the true currency of natural selection. It's not about lifting weights, it's about raising the next generation.
And here is a really fascinating part of the story. Darwin wasn't actually the only one who figured this out. Working entirely independently, way out in the isolated geography of the Malay archipelago, there was another naturalist named Alfred Wallace. And Wallace reached the exact same conclusions about natural selection at the exact same time. It's wild, right? But it proves this wasn't just some random guess by one guy. It was a profound, inevitable scientific truth that was just waiting to be uncovered by anyone who observed nature carefully enough.
And this brilliantly illustrates how a massive, interconnected web slowly came into focus. All existing life forms share common ancestors, but those ancestors lived during entirely different epochs, periods, and eras. It became blindingly clear that the biological history of life is directly anchored to the geological history of the planet itself. The timeline of life and the timeline of a shifting, changing Earth, they're essentially one and the same. Let's move to and see how this builds into a staggering conclusion. Think about it. If the gradual evolution of life is permanently tied to the gradual shifting of the Earth's geology, well, the old math simply doesn't work. The Earth absolutely cannot be just 4,000 years old. To allow for all of this gradual biological change to happen, the planet had to be ancient, like billions of years old, ancient. In a single stroke, human understanding shifted from this tiny, static historical window to visualizing a vast, dynamic, and incredibly old planet. Which leaves us with a really fascinating thought to ponder. If our biological history is fundamentally tied to our geological history, if nature is constantly selecting those best fit to survive a changing environment, what on earth might our planet's next epoch look like? As the physical world continues to shift and change, so too will the life upon it. It's just an awe-inspiring reminder that the story of evolution isn't just ancient history. It's an active process that is still unfolding all around us every single day. Thanks for joining me for this explainer. Keep wondering and keep learning.